Yes, welcome to week 6 here as we go down the list here. We're kind of getting down towards the end. Week 6 is again another preparation week. If you look here at what's due, um, basically you're going to have to respond to, you need to post your individual case and then basically start to work on your 7th case, which is due a week from Friday. So you've got a little bit of time here to work on your Sears Auto case, which is your team case, but you definitely need to start working on that sooner than later. So this week, it's just really just the discussion that's due. So you need to make sure you post up your individual case, okay, that you've completed for me. Post that up into the as a document up into the discussion threads. And then you need to go ahead and comment to 2 of your peers throughout the week of what you thought. And in these comments, you need to be really talking about what was good, what was bad in their cases, giving them something else to think about, because there's a lot of uncovered material in the cases that I've read so far. A lot of them would be as you look at things coming up, definitely I would be looking at your peers' cases. A couple of them are going to be very good, and you can see the length and depth that I'm talking about. I've graded about a third of your cases so far, and I can tell you that we need definitely some work involved. Most of the mistakes I found so far is just the lack of depth. You know, when we say explore, and I'm going to go back up here and pull up here this case study introduction right here for MDA 520. Okay, so this is it's the introduction to this. I'm going to go ahead and bring this up. Okay, inside the shell. Okay, go back and refer. I referred to this in your posting last week of and I talked you through it. But this is what you're and looking at this is what I went over last week, but I'm going to bears reiteration because at this point there was out of 5 out of the 6 that I've graded so far all have errors in these aspects. Okay, so you need to really look at these things. Look at cases that generally have multiple meanings and thus can elicit strong debate. So you should be looking at all the angles in these cases. There's not one single concrete answer. If you're looking for a concrete answer, it's definitely not going to be in this ethics case. You're going to have multiple solutions, multiple problems. Okay, different ways to attack the problem, different ways of looking at it. So you've got to look for all those multiple meanings and address all of them. And again, like I said last week, approach this like you're a consultant for a big company and you're going to be making these presentations to the actual board of directors. They're going to want to know everything. They want to know all the angles and how you've addressed all the angles. Even the ones that you're not using, you need to address in there and how you do it. There's no one right answer. And what I'm looking at is how do you prove your point? Okay. That this means that you are going to prove to me, and that's through research. That's not 1 or 2 articles, that's 6 or 7 articles, okay, of looking through, researching, acquiring that knowledge to prove your point as a team this time. So you need to, each one of you should be coming, each per group of 3 people should be coming with 2 to 3 articles apiece to prove your position that you're taking on that case and why. If you look at it, the background aspect of this, okay, you gotta look at how this is interwoven, and I can tell you the Sears case is just as interwoven, actually even more so interwoven with issues and other types of things. And it's not going to be a linear type of thing. You can't go from A to B to C. It's going to be A to C, back to B, over to D. Okay, it's a scattered approach. All those things are all that information you need is looking throughout the entire case. So you really got to think about this, think about the depth of this. And one of the approaches that I usually take is I'll read the case first and not make any notes in it. Okay, I make no notes in it. I just read the case. Then I go back through and pick out, and usually I'll print out the case and highlight, and I'll go back through and then I'll highlight those key areas that I think I need. Okay, those that I think are the problems. So I'll just go through the whole document and just highlight what I see as problems. Okay, then I'll come back and then start to look at it and pull it together. Okay, and thinking about those problems. Are there problems that are really kind of subsets of another problem? You know, and then you can start to dive into what's the root cause. Okay, when you can start to see those multiples of problems come together, then you can start digging in deeper into that case to look to see where the root cause of that problem is. A lot of you gave me one problem, but didn't really go deep enough to go into the root cause. Okay, you know, in the blood bananas case, what was the root cause? In a lot of cases, the root cause is management deciding that they were going to go ahead and basically throw away the human rights aspect of it. You know, in the blood bananas case last week, also, you should be looking at things like, okay, we have the fact that, you know, we paid off some people to get protection, but realistically, did that solve the problem? And I can tell you, it didn't solve the problem. They still got attacked. Okay, so is that really, you know, that logic they had was flawed? So how was it flawed? And why did they make that decision, knowing the fact that that may not solve the problem? So you have to really think into these. Okay, you know, you look at this. This is the steps. You read the case, identifying, like I said, the way I identified the problems and issues, and look for those root causes as I go through and just highlight. I print it out, highlight it, and then go ahead, and then afterwards, then I start to perform that analysis. Okay, and then once I get into the analysis, then I'm looking for articles. Okay, I'm looking out there and see what other research is out there. What other cases were similar? What other ethical considerations were there? What was the ethical theory? And providing some documentation of that ethical theory, and why you think it's that ethical theory that was applied. You know, a lot of you identified the ethical theory, but provided me with no documentation validating what your argument was. Developing that COA, that basically course of action. Okay, you know, thinking about how you're going to develop that course of action. Okay, what should they do? And making a recommendation. And maybe you have a couple of courses of action they could take, but you're recommending one. Why are you recommending that one? Based on what kind of research are you validating that? Okay, it's all about how to make a good argument. Okay, and there's nothing more than I like than a good argument. Okay, and not one of those vocal arguments where you can, you know, you have to look at this kind of almost like a lawyer. Okay, you're going to present a case to me or to the board of directors on the course of action that you're going to take, which means you've got to back that up with hard facts and research. Like I said, one or two articles isn't going to cut this, you know, at the MBA level. It would have been fine at your undergrad level, maybe. But at the graduate level, we're looking for some depth, some critical thinking. You've got to dive in, go deep. You can't do this in a couple of hours, folks. This is something that's going to take you probably to do this correctly, even as a team, it's going to take you 8 to 10 hours easily to do this and to do it right. So you need to look through and dissecting the situation, finding those root causes. You know, you know, a lot of times here, you may not know the problem in some of these cases. You know, write out those problem statements, you know, take a look at those types of things. And I would approach this as, you know, in this team case, everybody needs to do these first few first. Okay, reading the case, identifying the problems. Okay, those two things right there, and maybe even a little bit of analysis you do on your own, and then come together and then develop these last two, which is the course of action and the recommendations. So this way you're reading the case and identifying those issues. And then you're going to find out that some people may identify different problems than you did. So you're going to have to kind of figure out which one as a group you're going to tackle and recommend that course of action and the recommendations for. But in the course of action, you need to identify that there's probably a couple of different ways that they could act on this. And then you're making one recommendation as a group. So, you know, those are the types of things that you're looking for. This PowerPoints are really, really good about looking at how you need to perform this case study. It's vitally important that this actually walks you right through it. And I can tell from many of you that you did not actually read through this. And many of you didn't even watch the video. So I will be actually posting a note to make sure that everybody does watch this video. Okay. You know, you're in writing a response to a case, you don't want a lengthy summary. A summary is just basically, you know, basically all you're doing there is giving me a short and sweet executive summary. What were the high points? What were, it shouldn't be more than 2 paragraphs, just like an executive summary would be at the beginning. You're summarizing your whole entire paper, but you need to boil it down to 2 points, and you're emphasizing what your recommendation is and how you're validating that recommendation. So you really kind of want to make sure that you read through this, follow it, take those tips I've had that I talked about, and really kind of go forth with it. If you have any questions at all through the team case, be sure to reach out to me. I only had a couple people reach out to me, okay, and through this individual process. So, you know, when you don't ask at this level, you have to ask the questions. As an MBA student, you have to take charge of this. So if you don't understand the way it is, reach out, talk to us, because you really have to kind of push through this, okay? So again, I hope everybody has a good week. I look forward to seeing your posted cases.